and me, we're gonna let the beast out. Caged up, held down for far too long. You ready? Be ready. Breathe in, smell the victory. Breathe out, let go of all the doubt you feel. Believe, reject defeat. Don't ever be afraid to be a legend. When it's on the line, seize the moment when the moment's right. Come on, you're in this fight. Don't ever be afraid to be a legend. Stand the test of time. Seize the moment when the moment's right. Come on, believe you're in this fight. Don't ever be afraid to be a legend. Hold up, are you listening? Focus in, we're looking to make history. Let's go, we know what we...
Is this thing on? Is this thing on? I'm just kidding with you guys. Listen, guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight. As the song says, don't ever be afraid to be a legend. That's what we're trying to do here. That's what we're attempting to do. We're not quite at legendary status yet, but I think we're approaching it. So anyway, it's time to let the beast out. It's Tuesday night. It's time for the pregame blitz, and I have a confession to make to you guys. I'm pulling a bait and switch tonight. You know, during the countdown timer, you guys saw where it says pregame blitz. You got Larry and George and Cole and Justin. Well, half of our crew is out tonight. So you guys are just stuck with me. And I hate to admit this, Justin Kyle Haley. So let's, speaking of which, let me go ahead and bring Justin on screen. Justin, how are you?
Doing good, man. This is all we need right here. Just me. This is it.
This is all we need. Hey, if Cole, just between us, if Cole's watching tonight, he just needs to hear that loud and clear.
That's
right?
it. Yeah,
that's it.
That's right. That's
just me. Well, Cole is still out on maternity leave.
Is it maternity or paternity? Which one?
Well, I purposely said maternity leave because he's a Florida Gators fan. And, speaking, I'm just going to go ahead and jump to this portion of the show. I was going to leave this as a surprise for Cole at the end. But let's go ahead and, since we're talking about maternity and those Florida Gators. Listen, Florida, you are still on the clock. It's been almost 5,000 days since you've won a national championship. It's been over 156 months. It's been over 13 years since you've won a state championship. So, Cole, get on the ball, dude. I don't know what's going on down there in Gainesville, but you guys are losing it, and Billy Napier is not the answer. That's all I got to say. So, I do need to, before we get into our topics, and I'm actually surprising Justin tonight because I did not send him these topics ahead of time. We're going to treat this is just me and you, Justin. We're going to treat this as a Q&A session, almost like a pardon the interruption, rapid fire type of deal. It's just, this is what the audience wants anyway. They want me and you to debate and go at these hot topics.
That'll work.
So anyway, before we get to all the fun, let's go ahead and take a couple of minutes here to thank some of our sponsors. Pepsi, all your favorite flavors, guys. I don't know, I'd never tried this flavor, Justin, until last week. I'm going to hold it up to the screen. Mountain Dew Spark. You guys see all the different flavors displayed in the background there. Whether it's Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, and this little gem, Mountain Dew Spark. I tried this last week, and holy cow, it gave me a spark. That's for sure. Justin, I did something really, really stupid. I drank one of these after our show last week.
So it kept you up, didn't it?
I could not go to sleep. Could not go to sleep to save my life. And you know what? The very next morning, I needed another one of these to keep me awake.
Yep. That's how it works.
Oh my gosh. But it is good. This is a lemonade flavor. So imagine lemonade that is sparkly and has a kick to it. That's what this little gem is. I love it. Love it. That might be my new favorite drink now. But you can't, I learned from experience, you can't be drinking this stuff at 9:30 at night. It's going to keep you, unless you're doing shift work, it's going to keep you up. So anyway. So Pepsi, guys, obviously you can find Pepsi wherever you buy your favorite drinks, whether it's a Circle K, a Winn-Dixie, a Publix, wherever you buy your drinks, you can always get a Pepsi. So help us out. Buy more Pepsi. A Shade of Perfection. Tim Neesmith has been a longtime sponsor of all of our shows. He does custom shades and blinds. Josh Batson and Justin Haskin at the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. After watching this show tonight, you might be suffering from a migraine. If that's the case, then give these guys a call tomorrow morning at 333-9838. A couple other sponsors that we're going to touch base on, and that's White Oak Investment. Kyle Conger does an excellent job. Met with him last week, and Justin, I found out that I'm right on track. You know, I'm much older than you are. So I'm thinking about retirement a lot nowadays. I really am. I got about 10 and a half years left till I fully retire. And so I just wanted to make sure I was right on track. And Kyle assures me that I am, even in the fluctuating market, I'm right on track. So if you need to take a little stock of where you sit financially, give Kyle a call at White Oak Investment. You need a wireless phone, iPhone or Android, maybe some accessories. Give Matthew Godwin a call at Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road. And of course, if you would like to sponsor this show, give me a shout at G Nation Media. So those are our sponsors. We'll touch base on the coaching changes. I haven't heard of very many coaching changes this week, Justin. You're more in the middle Georgia area. What's going on up there? Is it quiet on the home front there?
Pretty much. I haven't heard any drastic news as far as, like I said, other than we talked about Ingram being hired in Dublin. Other than that, that's about it. Yeah.
Now he came from Washington County, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So has that vacancy been filled? Because a lot of times when these coaches, well, in every case, when these coaches make changes, that creates other dominoes to fall. So anything happening up in there in Washington County?
I heard their offensive coordinator was going to be named the head coach, but I think they're still. I think they're taking applications, so I don't think they've named anyone yet.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Middle Georgia, Ben says he's got a question. How good is Jeremy Edwards going to be at Hoco? I have no idea. Listen, it's Hoco. You know, it's Hoco. Unless you've got a stud like Jake Fromm there at quarterback. Has Hoco really ever done very much? As you know, they've been up to the highest classification for several years now. Have they really done very much at all of anything?
Outside of whenever Jake Fromm was there, and then they still, his senior year, he was playing with I was at that game. They had to, I can't remember 100%, but they had to beat Valdosta to get into the playoffs. And he had a messed up shoulder or something. It was hurt bad, and he gave it all he had, and they just couldn't muster it up. But he had two. I thought they were D1 receivers. I think they went to small D2 schools, but they were really good wide receivers. And Jake Fromm didn't have a defense that year. It was just all them on the offensive side of the ball pretty much. But outside of that, they had what was the guy's name? Wesley Steiner at linebacker a couple of years ago. And now they got the running back, but they've never. So when Fromm was there was no defense. Then whenever Steiner was there was no offense. Now they got a running back and a decent offense, or they got a running back, but now they got nothing else anywhere else. So it's just they haven't ever put it together.
I gotcha. Now, closer to home down here, there haven't been very many announcements lately. We're all down in Lowndes country. We're all waiting for the new defensive coordinator to be announced, and that won't be officially announced until the board meeting, I think, next week, when they officially vote all that stuff. Now, the hot name that is surrounding, you've probably heard, is Ashley Anders. That's the hot name that's attached to that job. We don't know. I hadn't got a confirmation from Jamie DeBose on that. He said, he did meet with both Ashley Anders and Alan Rodemaker. But he won't tell me who he picked. But the name that's been thrown out there most often is Ashley Anders, and I'm good with that. So I was talking to another Lowndes fan today, and I told him that name, and his immediate question was, "Why would we hire him? He didn't do very good at Tift County at all." And I had to explain to him that there's a difference between being a coordinator and being a head coach.
Yeah.
What's your take on Ashley Anders as a defensive coordinator?
If I had to go like 1 out of 10, I would give him about a 7 or 8. I think he does a good job at focusing solely on the defense. I don't think he's the greatest head coach at all by any means, but at the same time, I take it as you can only judge a coach so much,
right,
by what he can do at any position, whether it be head coach or defensive offense coordinator, by the talent he has.
Right.
So it both goes hand in hand. Great talent can make bad coaches look good, or vice versa. Bad coaches can make great talent look bad.
That's right.
So I think he'd be a good fit on the defensive side of the ball. And my question is, does Lowndes have the Colquitt County money to get both of them co-defensive coordinators?
This is Lowndes. Come on, man. Are you kidding me with that question?
Lowndes ain't got Colquitt money.
Are you kidding me?
Colquitt money's got that old Foreman money. It's different over there.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're talking about. I know they got. What did Rush call it?
I don't know. What did he call that money over there? Or are you talking about the Valdosta situation?
The Valdosta situation.
Oh, no, he had funny money at Valdosta, farming money at Colquitt, and then he had shrimp money at Hoover.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of Colquitt, Kenneth Hurst throws this out there. This is part of the rumor mill out there. So I'll give you guys that disclaimer up front. He says, I heard Rod didn't get retained at Moultrie, which may be the case. There was a very, very slim chance of him getting retained by Sean Calhoun.
Yeah.
Calhoun's probably got his own staff. Most of these head coaches do. They got their own entourage.
Yeah, I've heard from the get-go he wasn't going to be retained at or kept at Moultrie, and that's why he shopped around for so many head coaching jobs. But then at the same time, when he goes shopping for a head coaching job, he asks for so much stuff that nobody could meet it. So I don't really know what his end game is as far as where he actually wants to be at, because it seems like the places he applied for, maybe he was trying to use his leverage, but who was he trying to leverage against?
Right. Marcus Rogers taking a poke at us. He says, Lowndes only has SPLOST money. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. Speaking of Rod, keeping on the topic of Alan Rodemaker, Marcus throws this out there. He says he's also heard that Rod's turned down the TCC defensive coordinator job. I wish Cole Moore was on here tonight so he could confirm or deny that for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. I have no idea. I just know that the money he would have made at a certain school would have outweighed anything else. He could have been a head coach, but I don't understand why he asked for that other stuff that he was asking for that made him say, we're going to go another route. I just don't get it.
Yeah. You talking about the Bacon County deal?
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Man, I was told that he was offered the moon.
Yeah, he was
there, and it was a very, very lucrative package, but he asked for a little too much as far as the budget for the football program, a couple of other things, and finally that was just a straw that broke the camel's back. It's like, we can give you this, but we just can't go, and we're a single A, we're a very small program.
You're talking a single A program putting up 110 to 120 grand in a salary, and you're still asking for all this extra stuff. You're just not going to. You can't find 120 grand at 60% of 7A schools nowadays.
Yep, exactly right. Now, Marcus Rogers says that Calhoun's cleaned house over there is what he's heard, and brought back a lot of former coaches and players. I don't know about a lot of former coaches and players. Maybe that's the case. I do know of one former coach that he's brought back over there, and that's Bryce Giddens, the offensive line coach that's been at Lowndes for the last couple of years. He has gone back to Moultrie and will be on the Colquitt coaching staff over there. So that's two positions at least that Lowndes has to fill now: a defensive coordinator position and an offensive line coach as well. So there you go. Now, he's already touched that one. Now, I don't know about this one, Ben. He says that Hoko's got a projected 5-star quarterback that's going to be playing in Houston County this year. He says Trey Hill's little brother. And everybody knows Trey Hill was a big old boy.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm
Starting center for the University of Georgia. So there's a good bloodline in that family. If that's the case, I haven't heard that, but if that's the case, we know the difference that a 5-star quarterback can make at the high school level. So if that's the case, then Katie barred the door. Maybe Hoko is for real this year.
Yeah, but the key word there is somebody from Hoko and a couple folks are projecting him to be a 5-star. That means he's obviously a younger underclassman and has no stars right now. They're just projecting him to develop to that.
Sure. We're going to be talking about one of our topics tonight is a couple of these schedules. One of them is Northside Warner Robins. One of them is Lee County. They've both released their schedules to the public. Now, part of scheduling is Joe Mamone. He's with Prep Gridiron Logistics. He says he's watching us tonight from New York City, and he's been helping to put together what he calls the Georgia-Florida Challenge. And if you haven't heard about this, Justin, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm not trying to cut you off. Can you see me, or do I need to get out and get back in?
Yeah, just disconnect, reconnect.
Right,
I can hear you. I can't see you.
All right.
So sorry about that, guys. So Joe Mamone talks about the Georgia-Florida Challenge, and he does great work as part of Prep Gridiron Logistics. Joe basically is a matchmaker when it comes to elite high school football teams. So he puts together these marquee matchups. And a little bit later, in a couple shows down the road, we'll talk about some of the games that he's putting together nationwide that's going to be streamed live on a new partnership that he's got with Flow Sports that you could subscribe to. And these are some fantastic matchups of nationwide, well-renowned programs. So part of that Georgia-Florida Challenge that Joe was talking about, he says it's official now, which basically means that everyone has signed all the contracts they're supposed to sign. So this is going to be for real now. And here's what the Georgia-Florida Challenge is, if you haven't heard yet. On August 20th, there's going to be a doubleheader played at Martin Stadium here in Lowndes County. That's going to involve, it's basically a partnership between Lowndes and Colquitt County. So this year, Colquitt County is going to come over to Martin Stadium and play a 5:00 game against Deerfield Beach. And so then there's a nightcap where Lowndes plays American Heritage later that night at 8:00. So that's the Georgia-Florida Challenge. So guys, when we release that ticket information, it's going to be on a Saturday. Yeah, it's going to be on a Saturday night. So all your teams are going to be playing on the Friday night, that opening weekend. It's going to be done with, that kind of stuff. So if you want to see these pretty good matchups between a couple of South Georgia powers versus a couple of South Florida powers, I personally invite you to Martin Stadium because, hey, let's fill up the stadium with a lot of South Georgia fans there. So that's going to be August 20th, 5:00 and 8:00 games. Now, the following year, Justin, Lowndes is going to return the favor and go over to Moultrie and play the 5:00 game over there. And then Colquitt County is going to play the later 8:00 game. Those two opponents have not been revealed yet. So this is a one-year deal with American Heritage and Deerfield Beach. Next year, we'll probably have a couple of other opponents. So I'm pretty excited. So, the Corky Kale has been the premier event in Georgia for a while. So we're trying, Joe is helping us put this together. We're trying to make this an annual deal where we have a couple of marquee matchups that we can be proud of down here. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like it. South Georgia needs something like that to, South and North Florida to an extent, just for travel and the fact that you can take, South Georgia fans from, like you said, other schools that get done playing on Friday night, they're an hour, away or whatever. They can just drive over, get something to eat in Valdosta and then check out a couple games. That'll be a cool thing for South Georgia to be able to have, and a smaller version, but it could potentially grow into something bigger, over the future.
That's right. I think this coming year is the first time that the Corky Kale, for a long time, is not going to have a South Georgia team that's participating in. It's just become too dang expensive to play in that game, because last year they required us to pre-sell 3,000 tickets to play in that game. And if we didn't sell we were still on the hook for 3,000 tickets.
Yep.
So we had to write a big check last year for that. And not to mention all the costs that's, associated with travel and all that stuff. So,
hey, you just better. I know he's reached out to him and spoke to him, but you just better hope that he doesn't schedule John Millage against one of you guys.
oh my gosh.
That's
Joe
it.
Mamone, do you hear that? You got to, I don't know anything about John Millage, but Justin is very high on this, I don't want to say rinky dink or whatever, but this private school.
Let me say this. Their offensive and defensive line are probably average 3 to 4 inches taller and about 30 to 40 pounds heavier than the Lounge. No joke.
I got you.
They're averaging 6'4", right at 280 across the defensive line.
I got you. Hey, listen, we may still have a couple of openings on our schedule. Tell them to call Jamie DeBose. Let's get on the schedule.
I promise you, JT Wall will play anybody in this state as a private school. He will give it a shot.
Listen, Joe Mamone just says this. Hey, we might be breaking something here. Joe Mamone says John Millage is playing IMG in 2023.
If that's serious, I would love to see it. I'm telling you, their play and style of play would be awesome to go down there, and they're a power team, but can also mix it, finesse and skill player. They've just got the whole package as a private school. And in 2023, that's when they're really good classes coming through. They haven't had a bad year, but they have a loaded team coming up through that group.
I got you. Hey, Joe, listen, man, if you don't have anything to do, I've just posted our call-in number right on the screen. Give us a call, man. I want to pick your brain about some of these games that you're putting together. So that's some good stuff. That's breaking news right there. Now, if that's the case, where John Millage is playing IMG in 2023, that totally changes my perception of John Millage.
I'll say this: if it literally, I'm assuming the game would probably be played at IMG just because,
probably.
But let me say this: if John Millage, which keep in mind, private schools, the entire school system doesn't have but 400 to 500 students, and you're talking high school, 150 to 160 kids. If they go down there and hang within 7 to 14 points of IMG, that's a huge win regardless for that size school.
Yeah. Joe, where is that game being played? Listen, why don't we just meet? Maybe it's not halfway, but why don't we just play the game at Martin Stadium? We can have IMG come up to Martin Stadium, John Millage come to Martin Stadium. Hey, speak of the devil. Hey, caller, you're on the pregame blitz. Joe, is this you?
The one and only.
Hey, man. Justin, can you hear John?
I can hear you.
John.
Yeah.
Can you hear Joe?
Yeah, I got him.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, man, I appreciate the comments. Now, are you for real? Is John Millage going to be playing?
That was a joke. Oh. That was a joke. I tried to pick the most feared high school football team in America, and I filled in the blank with IMG.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I mean, I after spending time with you guys at the Georgia championship games, I have reached out to Millage. Okay. Haven't gotten anywhere yet, but yeah, I mean, if they'll play a really top team. Remember, I only deal with like the top 200-300 teams in America. If they're willing to play a ranked team, of course I'll work with them. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
I truthfully think you.
But that was a joke. That was a joke.
I got you. Okay, I'm glad you called in to clarify that.
I don't want to spread rumors. I'm not about spreading fake news, as you know.
That's right. So, hey, listen, I'm glad that you finally got the deal put together with the Georgia Florida Challenge. Tell us a little bit more about the Flow Sports deal that you've got in partnership now, and some of the games that you're going to be featuring this coming year.
Yeah, so we Prep Gridiron Logistics signed a partnership for the next 4 seasons with Flow Football, which is a division of Flow Sports. Flow Sports is the largest streamer of amateur athletics in the country, and I'm one of the partners and managing their high school football channel. So each year I bring the best games that I set up through PGL. The best games appear on Flow Sports, on Flow Football. Last year we had 30 games. This year we're at 50 games right now, and literally we're paying out a minimum of $200,000 a year in annual streaming rights.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean it's a way to attract the best teams to play each other. We pay on how good the game is. So if it's a really good team playing an average team, they'll get less money from us if a top 10 team is playing another top 10 team.
Gotcha.
We rank all of our games 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. 5-stars get the most amount of money. 2 or 3-star games get the least amount of money. So we incentivize teams to play the best teams possible. So, so that's how it is. It's a 4-year deal, literally over the next 4 years, next 3 years, because we're done with year 1. We're going to be paying out to high schools all around America, those that want to work with us, literally $500,000 to $1 million in streaming rights fees that they could use for anything. They could put it in their general scholarship fund. They could use these monies for new uniforms, helmets, a new scoreboard. I mean, so we're all about helping these teams that want to partner with us, giving them the exposure they want to get to have people around the country watch their games when otherwise it would just be local folks. And it's a win-win situation. The teams make the money. They get the exposure that they need. And, personally, I'm growing the game at the highest levels of high school football, which is my personal goal.
Well, that's awesome, dude. So you've got Lowndes, Colquitt, Lee County, and Warner Robins this year being featured on Flow Sports. Is that right?
Right. Our 2022 broadcast schedule has those 4 teams on it multiple times. So Lee County, I got 3 games with them. I have 2 games at Warner Robins. I got the Georgia-Florida Classic with Lowndes and Colquitt. So, I'd say, more than 5% of our games are South Georgia games right now on our preliminary broadcast schedule.
I got you. Okay. I'm actually looking at the schedule that you sent me, and you got some great games on here, man. Some good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and just so you know, what I sent you a few weeks ago that's a very dynamic document that changes a lot.
Gotcha.
So it's actually changed for the better since you saw it. So I'll send you a new one soon. But you could feel free to talk about the Georgia games, but don't go public yet with the other ones, because I got some great Texas games coming up in the workings. I got a huge event in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 7 games over 3 days tournament. I got 2 in Ohio. I got a big Ohio versus the USA event in Canton on August 26th. And 2-3 weeks later, on September 10th, I have another Ohio versus USA and coming down in Southeast Ohio. So a lot of great things going on with the PGA and the Flow partnership around the country.
Man, listen, I have a suggestion for a game that you need to put together, right?
Yep.
You need to put together IMG versus Berrien County. I'm telling you, my Rebels can take on IMG. We ain't afraid to play any school in the.
Listen, I'll promise this right now. If you get them to host IMG, I will pay them $6,000 to do that.
I don't know if the embarrassment would be worth it.
I will pay them to host IMG Academy if they want.
I don't know if IMG wants to come play in a cow pasture.
A cow pasture? Are you kidding?
Hey, they have a hard time finding
all
games.
of our facilities, man. Are you crazy?
Hey, not only will they play in a cow pasture, they'll play on concrete. They're having a hard time finding games. So
I got you.
So let's get the word out to whoever in Georgia wants to play IMG.
Hey, let's bring him up to Lowndes, man. I would love to see an IMG and Lowndes matchup.
You can't. No one in Georgia can play IMG.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, Georgia and California established these academy rules where they can't in football. It's funny. I think I saw Milton play IMG in basketball, but unfortunately they can't in football, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you could do it in one sport, if you could do it in one sport, you should be able to do it in the other sport. I'm sorry, it's all or none.
Yeah, I get it, man. Listen, it's too bad because Lowndes would whoop them. I beat them like my 4 touchdowns. I'm just saying.
So, Larry, I got a question for you. When I'm down there in August for the doubleheader matchup, Florida-Georgia or Georgia-Florida Challenge, Where are you taking me out to dinner? Can we broadcast your show live from a great steakhouse or something?
Absolutely, man.
You got a great
Yeah.
steakhouse down there.
You got it. Hey, listen, just between us, dinner's on me that night. You come down here, I'll treat you to dinner.
That's awesome. I'm there. You know I'm coming.
Hey, I know, man. If you come early enough, we'll play a round of golf before that.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm there, man. That my weekend is being spent in South Georgia, August 19, 2021. Book it.
Cool deal, man. Hey, listen,
also,
thanks for calling in tonight, man.
Anytime. Have a great show, guys.
See you, Joe. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dude, that is some exciting stuff. That really is.
Yeah, and I think, and for people that I was going to slip this in, but for people that don't know, Flow Sports is kind of similar. When I say similar, you can download the app like NFHS. They got a Flow Sports app, and you can pay a yearly fee or a monthly fee. And the only reason why I know that when he says they broadcast, lower level stuff in college, because I do a lot of sports betting. So I actually subscribed for a year so I could watch all these like Mid-American conference games in basketball late at night. So yeah, it's kind of similar to NFHS. You can pay a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription. So it's worth it in my opinion and it's not that expensive.
That's right. Hey, listen, Marcus Rogers says he's hoping Valdosta gets in on this in the coming season. Marcus, this is for premier teams, buddy. Y'all aren't there yet.
Look, hey, do you know when he just said that they pay more money for the 5 stars versus the 2 stars? You understand that Lowndes is getting the least amount of money, correct?
Shut up. What are you talking about? We on the maximum schedule, man. What are you talking about?
You're getting the 2-star money.
All right. Speaking of Lowndes, let's talk. Change topics here a little bit. I call this segment "Let the Arms Race Begin." Here's what I'm talking about. Justin, I think these schools around here, I don't care if you're talking about a smaller classification or the highest classification. There is so much government money floating around in these school systems right now, whether it's eSPLOST money. You guys know what that is, right? That 1 penny sales tax, they call it the eSPLOST that you guys vote on every few years. So there's so much, they're so flush in that kind of cash. That's one revenue source. The other is all that stimulus money, the COVID stimulus money that school systems got by the millions. Like they're basically dump trucks of money full going into these school systems. Now, it wasn't literal. They didn't actually drive a dump truck to Lowndes or Valdosta and dump out a bunch of cash, but they might as well could have. Yeah. Right. That's basically what happened. These schools got millions and millions, and I say millions, I'm talking millions. Some schools got close to $50 million in extra cash. Some schools got $25, $30 million. That's a lot of millions, right?
Yep.
And so a lot of these school systems, what do you think they're doing with the money?
Nothing.
Well, they're using part of it to, build out their virtual teaching infrastructure and that kind of stuff. And that's, that's probably needed in a time of COVID or maybe future pandemics, things like that. But a lot of school systems are plowing a lot of that money. And guys, trust me, I know what I'm talking about. A lot of these school systems are plowing millions of this stimulus money into facilities build outs. And when we're talking about facilities, we're talking about facilities. We're talking about artificial turf for schools that have nothing to do with, they have no business laying down turf because they didn't have the money, but all of a sudden they've got the money to do it. And turf ain't cheap.
Here's what I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but here's what I think. Let me preface this by saying, I had COVID for 2 weeks, didn't do the show. I was out. I refused to get the shot. I'll never get the shot. That's my personal preference. Just being honest. I recovered. I got better. But my thing is when you have all these restrictions in schools, like they still doing the schools are masking or right. I know it's more laid back. Just to go in on this really quick, I think, and I'm going to use John Millage as a reference because they were one of the first schools in Georgia to do it. There's a company that is selling a air filtration, pretty much air conditioner type system for schools that do like 99% pathogens will filter it out throughout the day. I think they should take that. I think every school should be able to required to take that money and put that in their school system throughout their entire school, because not only does that go for the money that it needed to go for, but then it also is going to help you with sports and everything else to keep kids from having to be sent home and getting tested and all that kind of stuff. It's a win-win. I think that would be a good investment for a lot of schools to look into getting that filtration system put in that, through their air conditioning. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when I say COVID stimulus money, every school system got it.
Yeah, that is.
Every school, whether it's Coffee, Lowndes, Tift, Valdosta. I don't know if the GISA schools got it or not, but I know all the public schools got it.
Yeah, GISA didn't get any of that money.
So anyway, I know Lowndes got, I think I'm right on this, $26 million. That's a lot of cash.
That's nuts.
Valdosta, I believe, got 40-something million.
Ooh.
Did you hear me? $40 million? That's a lot. I think I'm right on that. If you're a Valdosta fan, check my math. I think I'm right on that. I may be wrong, but I think I'm right on that. But anyway, that is a lot of cash. And some of these school systems are having trouble spending it because it's so much cash, because they have a deadline that they have to spend it by, right, Justin?
Yep.
And so a lot of these school systems are plowing it into facilities upgrades like indoor, let me use the correct term, multi-use practice facilities.
That's right. The bands can practice in there. The
ROTC. We know the drill. They beat that into our brains. We know the drill. Colquitt laid the way. They showed everyone. They showed everyone how to sell that to the public, and all the other schools have just followed suit on it. So we use the right terminology. It's a multi-purpose practice facility, an MPF, not an IPF. Don't you dare call it an indoor practice facility. It's a multi-use or a multi-purpose practice facility, right? So let's be honest. Lowndes is using a big chunk of their cash, in addition to East Blast money, to be. They broke ground, I believe, this week, either this week or last week, on their MPF. It's going to be located right in the center part of their heart of their campus. So when you drive up into the Lowndes campus, you're going to see a full-size 120-yard multi-purpose practice facility right there in the middle of the campus. It's going to be beautiful.
And that's, it's crazy to spend that amount of money on an average program that doesn't win championships in anything.
Oh my God. You and this, man, are you out of your mind?
When's the last time Lowndes has won a state championship in anything?
In anything?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think.
Four major sports: softball, baseball, basketball, and football.
Well, we're getting close. Does that count?
No.
2007 is the last time I can think of.
Gotcha. Okay.
2007. Well, now the baseball program went to the semifinals last year and faced off against a loaded, a future Major League Baseball roster.
Yeah.
In the Parkview Panthers.
Yeah.
And they had that one monster. Oh, I can't remember his name, but oh my gosh, he was a monster.
They could have won the JUCO championship in college, I believe, that Parkview team.
That's right. Hey, listen, this is a suggestion from our friend Chris Pace. He says, we just need to go ahead and mute Justin Kyle Haley. So there we go. He hit the penalty box already. So listen, Justin, I got to do what the fans want, man. So anyway, so a lot of these teams are plowing money into, so that's why I call it an arms race.
Yeah.
Other programs that are doing this, Peach County. Where do you guys think Peach County is getting their money to upgrade their field, basically build a brand new stadium, artificial turf? Aren't they breaking ground on a new field house or something like that in addition to all that stuff? Where do you think these schools are getting this money?
They don't
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. If I got a check from the government for $26 million, do you think I'm going to send it back? Heck no.
No.
The schools didn't ask for it, but they got a check. That's the reality. They got a major fat infusion of cash, And this is what they're doing with it. As long as they can loosely tie it to education.
That's all they have to do.
That's all they have to do. Because listen, let's be honest. Nobody from the U.S. Department of Education is going to be auditing Valdosta because they just voted to spend $10 million to build a baseball and softball complex at their new high school campus. That's needed. They need that. But now they have this infusion of cash, and they all of a sudden they've got means to do it. So I don't blame the schools for using this money in this way. But as a public, we just need to know about it, right? So I'm letting you guys know. This is a public service announcement to all you guys, you viewers out there.
You talk just quick though. You talk about sending it back. I think it was. I'm gonna have to double check, but I remember a governor saying, I think it was somewhere. It was like North Dakota or somewhere. The governor told every school system, and she wouldn't. They could not accept that money, and they sent every dime back.
Is that right?
It's
wow.
one of. It's the woman governor of somewhere like North Dakota or something. It's somewhere.
Christy Nome.
Yeah, that's
South
who it
Dakota.
is. South Dakota. Yeah, they did not accept a dime from the federal government and send it all back.
Good for her.
Yeah,
I wish more states were that way.
They sent it all back. Sure did.
Good for her. So anyway, Marcus Rogers. Marcus, listen, man. You're making a silly argument. He says 5 championships gets an indoor facility, but 24 championships doesn't. That's ridiculous. Well, it is ridiculous. Ask your leadership. Now, to be fair to your leadership, I think they actually do have an indoor facility on the drawing board for you guys over there. So be patient. That's coming. Because Marcus, here, listen, man. Here's the deal. If Lowndes is going to build one, you know Valdosta is going to build one, and vice versa. If Valdosta builds something, you know Lowndes is going to build something. That's just the way it is.
Most of Valdosta championships, they were still using muskets in the war, so that don't
muskets count. And leather helmets, man.
Yeah, that don't count.
So, Marcus, we still love you, buddy. Jesus loves you. So that's that is the arms race that I was referring to a little bit earlier. And all schools are participating. So if you don't know if your school has gotten this money, trust me, they have. Now, what they decide to do with it is up to them. So if you want them to build some of these facilities, then build some of these facilities. Get in touch with your Board of Education member. Let me throw something at you, Justin. We kind of talked about this, and we got into a pretty, not a heated, but we got into a pretty long-winded debate last week about, transfer rules in high school and things like that. So I actually spent some time this week to think about what would it look like in high school if Georgia implemented something like that. Okay. So what would be your ideal way to implement something? Here's some thoughts that I have. You just tell me if I'm on base or losing my mind or whatever. First of all, you need a governing body to manage it. In college, you've got the NCAA. That makes sense. So in Georgia, it would make sense that the GHSA establishes, if we were to do this, that the GHSA probably be the governing body that establishes and maintains a transfer portal. Would you concede that? That would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so then there's some ground rules that I would like to establish. One would be, what's the process look like to transfer or get players into this? So what I jotted down for a couple things was, this might be a little bit controversial. If you were to implement a transfer portal to keep a semblance of fairness in the system, right? What do you think about establishing up front a rule that says a team can only have 4 transfer players on their team per year?
That's already happening now and then some.
Well, I'm just saying if we just make this legal and we actually implement a transfer portal, that you write a hard rule into the rules that says, if you want to participate in this is fine, but you can only have 4 transfer student athletes on your roster per year.
Per team or for the whole system?
Per team. So if you're Lowndes, you can only have 4 transfers into your program that year.
No, I'm saying, but 4 per football and then 4 for baseball.
Yes,
4
per sport.
Yeah, I could go along with. I would say 5 just to make it a clean number. I would say 5.
All right. Hey, listen, we're compromised. I can live with 5. I
Right.
actually originally wrote 5 and changed my mind and brought it down to 4.
Yeah, the 5. I just like a clean number 5.
That's right. Okay. So the portal we already established. Portal's created and maintained by the GHSA. Now, here's the deal. Here's where it gets kind of sticky. And this is because I'm trying to introduce fairness into this as much as possible. Right. And so I introduced this term called a free transfer. One free transfer. This is talking about the student athlete themselves. Okay. So if you're a student athlete, you get one free transfer during your 9th through 11th grade years. So if you want to transfer, if you're in Marietta and you want to transfer to, I don't know, Tiff County, you can. If you're within those grades of 9 through 11, you can transfer one time to the program of your choice.
With the
Anything
with the physical move?
It doesn't matter if it's a physical move. They can transfer from one program to another. If they lived in Valdosta and they wanted to go play for Colquitt County and still live in Lowndes County, they can still make that one free transfer in their high school career, 9th through 11th grade. They cannot transfer during their 12th grade year.
So my follow-up question would be, if you use that one transfer without moving, and then you move, and then let's say, all right, you're Valdosta or whatever, and then say, okay, I want to physically pick up and move to Brooks County. Are you gonna still keep that part of it and allow them to do that?
Well, a transfer is just that. It does not. It's not dependent on residence. If they make that one transfer and they don't move, that's it. They're done. That's their one transfer. If they actually move to another location, that's still considered a transfer into another school. So that's not allowed. Now they can transfer. You can't keep people from moving from one county to another, but you can control sports participation. So if that's where the case, that let's say they burn their one transfer and they transfer again, they got to sit out a year.
No, I don't agree with that at all.
Why is that? You would have
you got family. So I mean, a lot of kids have family circumstances where they have to go live with grandma and stuff like that. I mean, you can't blame the kid and burn him if he decides.
So I built a rule into the system to take care of that.
Okay.
And that is for extenuating circumstances like parents get divorced or something happens to their parents and they have to go live with someone. Then they can actually appeal. There's a board set up to handle this type of the hardships. They can appeal that to the GHSA, and the GHSA decides like they do now. So it's basically the same thing. But if they have, my rule is basically opening the system up, but you still have to have some type of restraints. If you don't, you could have conceivably, kid playing for 4 different schools in 4 different years.
I would say 2. I would say 2 because if a kid in the 9th grade, something happens in 9th grade, and the kid said, "Okay, I want to go to whatever midway through my 9th grade year," and then 11th grade comes around and all of his friends are at the neighboring school, and he says, "All right, I just want to go there." 2's not that big of a move. 2's not that bad.
All right, okay. So we have an area of disagreement there. Okay, so I say 1 transfer, you say up to 2 transfers.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Listen, if you're listening or if you're watching this tonight, what do you think? You think that we should give unlimited transfers? Should we cap it at 1? Should we cap it at 2? So we got to have some type of law and order, don't we? So what would you say? What would you like to see happen? All right, so now here's another rule I would put in place, Justin, and that is establishing a transfer period. Right. And I don't really care when this is. At the beginning of the school year, at the beginning of the season, 6 months before the season starts, whatever period that you want to designate, kind of like a signing period, if you will. Right. So you have a 2 to 3 week window where you as a family, you already know whether or not you want to transfer or move or whatever long before this. But you've got officially a 2 to 3 week window where you have to designate where you want to transfer to. and that counts against your 1 or 2 moves that we're going to allow you to make.
So
if you try to move outside of this window, then you have to go through the hardship appeal process.
I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in this whole situation and kind of backtrack. It's going to go along with what you just said, but also backtrack on the previous comment.
Okay.
So your senior year,
yeah,
I feel as though you should be able to, if you're at school A and you're already there, and football season rolls around and you're done with football, and let's say you're being recruited for football, basketball, or football and baseball, whatever the case may be. I'm all for a kid their senior year bouncing after football season to go play basketball at another school, or bouncing after football season to go play baseball at another school.
I disagree with you there.
100%. I'm all for that kid doing that. It's his last chance. To say that kid's never won a state championship and the kid's a 4-star in both sports. It's his last chance to try to get a memorable, something you'll never forget, a high school championship ring. And the kid grabs one in football, and he's also a 4-star in baseball, and he can win it at the neighboring county. I'm all for that kid shooting to go do it his senior year.
Listen, man, I'm all for opening up our opportunities for student athletes, but in that scenario that you just laid out, he would have known ahead of time in his junior year whether or not the school that he's at has the capacity, the capability to win a state championship. So if he wants to transfer, fine, just do it in your junior year.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Do you know how many? I know kids personally that have done this. I even graduated with a kid that done it, who went to Perry High School to try to win the championship in a certain sport, came back to Westfield to try to win a sport in baseball. Now, I know that's GISA to GHSA, and you can do that as many times as you want. But I'm saying, let's say Lowndes has an opportunity to win a state championship in football, right, and then you take Berrien County, which is actually predominantly pretty good in baseball, and he says, all right, I want to dip to Berrien and try to get me a state championship as a senior. I'm all for that.
Right.
Just your senior year only to do that.
Yeah, I stand by mine. So there's another area of disagreement. Listen, I don't know what the heck Marcus Rogers is talking about. He says he's picking on you, Justin. He says, Justin, Middle Georgia doesn't have any championships. Say what? Can we say Warner Robins?
Yeah, Warner Robins is back to back. Last time I checked, when's the last time Valdosta won a state championship?
Exactly.
What was it? 2006.
So Marcus, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Westfield's got 2 in football back to back. We've got the last 5 straight softball championships and ranked top 5 in the nation. Warner Robins has got the back to back 5A championships in football. I don't think Valdosta's won anything other than the 2016 football championship.
And they fired the guy that delivered that to them.
Exactly. So, I mean, there you go. You're just in shambles now.
So, listen, if you just talk about championship for Houston County as a whole, if you add up the state championships for Northside, for Warner Robins, all the schools that's there, how many state championships that in just football? So you got Northside with 3. You got Warner Robins with, I can't remember how many Warner Robins has, but Warner Robins has also had national championships, I believe.
Yeah. Back in 1970 something. I think it was 72, something like that.
So Warner Robins is not a Johnny come lately. They've got a pretty rich tradition as well of state football power, So Marcus, I think you're off base there a little bit. I love you, but I think you're off base there, man.
Hold on now, you can't forget my back-to-back 2013, 2014 Westfield. Now I
knew Westfield was going to come up in this conversation.
It's in Houston County, man. It's in Houston County.
Man, oh man, that's great. All right, so Ben says Warner Robins has 5. So if you take Warner Robins 5, Northside's 3, that's 8. I don't know if HOCO or Veterans or Perry or any of those schools have state championships or not.
They have none, as far as I know. I know Veterans and Perry doesn't. I don't think HOCO does either.
Yeah. Now, Wilbur Pelfrey says there's nothing wrong with the rules as they are, just needs to be enforced. Wilbur, I'm in 100% agreement with you. I think the rules are fine the way they are. They just need to be enforced. The GHSA needs to have a larger enforcement staff. They just don't. They don't have the staff to enforce their rules. But we're just playing hypothetical tonight. If a transfer portal were to be established in high school football, what would it look like? And that's what we're talking about tonight. So anyway, that's the hypothetical game that we're playing. Chris Pace says Justin's going to rep Westfield for sure. That's true.
Always, man. They're better than coffee.
Now, I did not know this. Ben says that Hoko has 3 state titles in baseball.
Yeah, they won it. They won it last year, as a matter of fact, in baseball. A really good friend of mine who is an ex-professional player. His name's Andy Burris. He has a son who is who's going to be a junior this coming year, and he's a part of that championship team. They'll probably win another one or two with his son there. He just got back from Mexico for playing for the USA 16 and under team.
That's right.
So they're loaded.
Yeah. Now Marcus is just trying to pick a fight. He's picking a fight with Wilbur, and Wilbur is a big Lions fan. And Marcus says that Wilbur, with all those transfers, you should win more than you actually do. All the transfers, I can count. I think Lions has 2 transfers. We got one from Madison County. Smoke's been there since the 8th grade. We got Kevis Thomas that came in last year from Taylor County, I believe. So if you want to talk about transfers, I think your program just got put on suspension.
And a Netflix show.
And a Netflix show. Man, come on, man.
Hey,
and
speaking of transfers, I'm going to ask you a quick question. Do you think had Baby D from Colquitt been able to come in the lounge, and do you think him with his skill set at wide receiver could have put you all over the top?
I don't know if he was going to be enough to beat Collins Hill.
It was true, but do you think he gave you a extra touchdown or two or offense on the offensive side of the ball?
Absolutely.
I got you.
Absolutely. Because, one of the things that emerged, one player that emerged to be an outstanding wide receiver was Chris Thomas. We had some other wide receivers that were pretty good as well, but Chris Thomas was head and shoulders above everyone else. Justin Barron was a good wide receiver. Tate McGee was good. So all these wide receivers, they were good support staff, but Chris Thomas was head and shoulders above everyone. I could see having another weapon on the other side of the field, right, in Baby D Wheeler. Yeah, that would have opened up our offense tremendously.
Yeah, but that goes back to last week's discussion. That would have took one of your your church homeschool kids, that you're used to spot.
Listen, I think I made it abundantly clear last week that I'm not against transfers.
As long as they do it the right way.
As long as they do it the right way. I'm against recruiting.
Oh,
that's the big difference. That's the big difference.
Everybody recruits. Every high school recruits. Every single one recruits.
I don't agree with that.
I agree. There's no way you can't.
Listen, if Berrien County recruits, we need to fire our recruiting coordinator.
Okay, well, let me rephrase that. 90% of your schools recruit because there is some single A schools that they can't do anything about it.
I don't think Brooks County recruits or Irwin County.
Well, no, Irwin County definitely 1,000.
Come on, man.
Do you know how many players they have from Tifton and Fitzgerald?
That doesn't mean they recruited them.
Oh, come on. Do you think kids are just
you got student athletes purposely leaving Fitzgerald to go play for their arch rival in Irwin County?
It happens vice versa. The best player that is on Irwin County roster is Lundy, and he lives in Fitzgerald. DJ lived in Fitzgerald. DJ Lundy lives in Fitzgerald. Okay. It happens.
All right. Now that doesn't mean they were recruited. They may have transferred.
We'll say that. We'll be nice and say that they weren't recruited.
We'll agree to disagree on that topic. So anyway, let's just move on. We didn't get a chance for the second week in a row to go into the schedules of Northside, Warner Robins, and Lee County because guys, we're already over our 1 hour mark, and that's what we usually like to keep the show to. So I guess you guys are going to have to tune in again next week too, so we can finally talk about some of these schedules. And by next week, we might have a few more schedules for you. So that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Guys, help us out. Start sharing this program on your Facebook feeds. Tell your friends about it. and we want to grow this thing. We're very thankful to have our regular watchers or viewers, but we want to grow this thing. One day, I'm hoping to see 1,000 viewers at one time on this thing. So that's a goal of mine. So right now, during the off season, we usually get around 200 to 300 viewers a week. The Thursday night show usually gets around 500 to 700 viewers a week during the off season. Now, obviously, during football season, these shows like this are a lot more popular, and we'll grow this thing. We'll probably triple those numbers during the regular season. But tell your folks about us. Tell your friends about what we do here, because I think we have a pretty good product. You're not going to get a product like this with any other program. I'm just saying, you're not. You're not going to have fans like me and Justin, George, and Cole getting on a screen and debating each other, right? You're going to have some shows that interview coaches, and the coaches say the same thing week after week after week. Then you're going to have some talk about the Super Bowl and this and that kind of stuff. So listen, this show is unique. And you guys, what? Wait, listen, that deserves.
No,
before you say anything, I'm putting you up in the penalty box again, man. Before you say anything. Listen, man, I'm trying to wrap up the show and you keep distracting me. Oh, man. Hey, Chris Pace, I appreciate you, man. Chris says that he's got us covered on his South and Middle Georgia. Hey, guys, if you're not familiar with Chris Pace's high school football group, South and Middle Georgia high school football, ball classifications, check it out because that's some good stuff. That's some really good stuff. So, Chris, we appreciate your support, man. And we appreciate all of your support week after week. So, with that said, you guys have been watching the pregame blitz. We missed George and Cole. Hopefully they'll be back to the show next week. You've been watching and listening to the ramblings of Justin Kyle Haley, who's insane. And then on the flip side, you've been listening to me, the sane one, LG. So anyway, you guys have been watching pregame blitz. That'll do it for tonight. So we'll see you guys next week. See ya.
See ya.